Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott's Selections for Monday, November 16th. Before getting today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. Unfortunately, it was a pretty awful Sunday, if I'm being completely honest. It started off with taking Cal minus the 3.5 against UCLA. They went up 3-0, ended up getting smacked, lost by about 20 points. Then we also had the two-pick parlay with the Eagles and the Saints money line. And the Eagles, off a bye, ended up losing pretty embarrassingly to the Giants. The Giants seemed like they can potentially win the division, but the Eagles came out really flat, especially defensively, and they just looked awful throughout. So I ended up picking up a loss there. Really not, of course, the way that we wanted to finish off the weekend, but we're looking for a bounce-back winner here on Monday, as there is really only one sporting event going on, and it will be the Monday Night Football game between the Vikings and the Bears. Now, I know at first glance this game looks pretty hideous, and I completely understand why. Minnesota is currently a 3-point favorite. It's even going up to 3.5. Makes sense. Minnesota's been on a very good streak lately. Chicago is kind of falling apart. But looking at some of the props here for this matchup, there is one prop that kind of stood out to me, and that's going to be your play. That it's going to be on Allen Robinson, the star receiver for the Bears. We're going to be taking the over 67.5 receiving yards, which is available at minus 110 on FanDuel. A time recording of 3:33 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, a couple reasons why I like the over in this spot. First of all, the Bears have been one-dimensional all season long. They have the fewest amount of rushing yards in the entire league. Now David Montgomery's out, so they're going to be using a couple of like a running back by committee situation. I know that they ended up promoting Lamar Miller, the former NFL starter who hasn't played in a while, but that's how desperate things are in Chicago for a running back. They have converted wide receiver Cordell Patterson. You got Nall as well back there. So they're going to be trying to work some stuff out. But at the end of the day, Chicago now gets to face off against the Minnesota pass defense, which is not good at all. And I think that Chicago should be able to take advantage of this pretty weak Minnesota secondary. Minnesota's defense has been okay lately, mostly because of ball control offense with Dalvin Cook. But if Chicago is able to stop the run, I do think that Minnesota should have some serious problems dealing with the Bears passing game, especially against Allen Robinson. Now, for the record, Minnesota's defense was a lot better last year. Everyone knows that. Robinson ended up going over the 67.5 both times last season. And if you look at Robinson's stats this season, he has consistently gone over this total. If you really want to break it down, he has had at least 70 receiving yards in each of his last 3 games, and he's had at least 70 receiving yards in 5 of his last 6 games. So he has been doing extremely well, and I simply think that this total is way too low at 67.5. Plus, if you really think Minnesota is going to blow the game open, you should have a decent amount of garbage time opportunities for the Bears offense. You saw that last week against Tennessee. They fell apart. They couldn't do anything for about 3 quarters. And then Foles ended up having some garbage time yards, and Robinson ended up with 81 yards. But looking at his results ever since week 3, he had 123 yards against Atlanta. I'd say the third game onward. He had 123 yards against Atlanta, 101 against Indianapolis, 90 against Tampa Bay, 53 against Carolina. That's the one that went under. You ended up having 70 against the Rams, 87 against New Orleans, and 81 against Tennessee. Minnesota has really struggled against the number 1 receiver so far this season, and if you look at how they've done recently, it has not gotten much better. For example, you have Devontae Adams, who's torched them repeatedly so far this season, and if you look at who else Minnesota has actually faced off against, it seems like every other star receiver that they faced has done well. I think that you should see a similar story here for Robinson. Chicago, with the absence of a running game, should be throwing the ball around a lot. I know that Matt Nagy ended up forfeiting the play calling duty, so I'm kind of curious how that's going to play itself out. But Robinson has the ability to take advantage of whatever matchup he has. He should have a mismatch on him all night, and I do think the Bears will spread it out a bit with some 4 and 5 wide sets because of the fact that both Nall and Patterson are pretty serious pass-catching threats out of the backfield. So I think Robinson at 67.5 is a bit low, and this number should be somewhere around 75. I think maybe a little bit lower, 73 or so. But he's consistently gone over. He's clearly Foles' favorite target. And for that reason, I think that Robinson should have a pretty nice afternoon, whether or not Chicago has success or not. So the play that I once again here for Monday, November 16th, is going to be on Allen Robinson over 67.5 receiving yards, which is available on FanDuel at minus 110. That's been the installment Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bests today. Bye, everyone.